The transport ship landed with a heavy thud on station. The doors opened slowly and cold air rushed inside. Park stood up from her seat and picked up her single bag. It was small and light. She did not need much. She walked down the ramp and stepped onto the metal floor of the station. The air smelled strange here, clean but fake, not like Earth at all. She missed the smell of rain and trees and dirt, but she pushed those thoughts away. She was not here to miss home. She was here to prove something. Station was the home of the Galactic Military Academy. It was the most famous military school in the entire galaxy. Only the best warriors from every planet came here to train. For hundreds of years, no human had ever been allowed to join. Humans were too new to space, too weak, too small, too fragile. That is what the other species believed. But things had changed. Earth had joined the Galactic Alliance 3 years ago. The politicians wanted to show that humans could fight alongside the other species. They needed a symbol. They needed one human to attend the academy. After many tests and trials, they chose. She was 22 years old. She was not tall. She was not big. She did not look strong. When the other cadets saw her for the first time, they laughed. A group of soldiers stood near the entrance of the training hall. They were massive creatures, 8 feet tall with thick gray skin that looked like stone. Their arms were as big as tree trunks. Their eyes were small and yellow. One of them pointed at and made a sound like grinding rocks. The others laughed too. Did not react. She walked past them without looking up. Inside the hall, more cadets waited. There were hunters with 4 arms and sharp teeth. There were tacticians with long necks and large black eyes. There were species had never seen before. All of them were bigger than her. All of them were watching her. A voice boomed across the hall. "Human cadet, come forward." Walk to the center of the room. A massive stood on a raised platform. He was even bigger than the others. His skin was darker, almost black. Scars covered his arms and face. His name was, and he was the commander of Talon Squad. This was a assigned unit. Looked down at her. His yellow eyes showed nothing but disgust. "So," he said slowly, "this is what Earth sends us, a small soft creature that looks like prey." Some cadets laughed, stayed silent. Jumped down from the platform. The floor shook when he landed. He walked around in a slow circle, studying her like she was an insect. "I have trained warriors for 40 years, he said. "I have seen who could crush mountains. I have seen who could kill 10 enemies in 10 seconds. I have seen who could plan battles 100 years in advance." He stopped in front of her and leaned down. His face was inches from hers. His breath was hot and smelled like metal. "But I have never seen a human fight," he said. "Do you know why? Because humans do not fight, they hide, they run, they die." Looked up at him, her face showed nothing. No fear, no anger, nothing. "The first combat trial is in 3 days, continued. "You will fail. Your kind always does. When you fail, you will be sent home, and we will forget you ever existed." He turned and walked away. The other cadets followed him. None of them looked at, none of them spoke to her. She was alone in the empty hall. Found her room in the cadet housing area. It was small and gray, a single bed, a single desk, a single window that looked out at the stars. She put her bag on the bed and opened it. Inside were simple things: clothes, a small knife, a photograph of her family, a book about Earth's history. She sat on the bed and looked at the photograph. Her mother and father smiled back at her. They were farmers in a small village in Korea. They did not understand why she wanted to go to space. They did not understand why she wanted to fight, but they supported her anyway. They always did. That night did not sleep. She sat on the floor in the corner of her room. Her legs were crossed. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was slow and deep. Anyone who saw her would think she was scared. They would think she was praying or crying or giving up. They would be wrong. Was remembering. She was remembering the mountains of Korea where she trained as a child. She was remembering the old man who taught her how to move without sound. She was remembering the long nights of hunting in the forest, tracking animals for hours without rest. She was remembering the moment she killed her first deer with nothing but a knife. She was 12 years old. Humans were not strong, knew this. Humans were not fast. Humans could not survive in extreme heat or cold. Humans did not have claws or fangs or armor, but humans had something else, something the other species did not understand. Humans were patient. Humans could wait for days. Humans could track prey across mountains and rivers and deserts. Humans could stay awake when others slept. Humans could ignore pain and hunger and exhaustion. And when the moment came, humans could strike with perfect precision. The thought strength was everything. The thought speed was everything. The thought intelligence was everything. They were all wrong. Patience was everything, and had more patience than anyone on the station could imagine. She opened her eyes and looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, her enemies were sleeping. They were laughing about the weak human girl. They were sure she would fail. They did not know what was coming. Smiled, it was a small smile, quiet, almost invisible, like a whisper in the dark. In 3 days they would learn, and they would never forget. There was not a real forest. It was a simulation, a massive room filled with fake trees and fake rivers and fake darkness. But the danger was real. Predator drones hunted through the shadows. They were made of metal and wire. They had claws that could cut through armor. They had sensors that could see in the dark, and they were programmed to kill. Every cadet knew the rules. Survive for 12 hours. Work as a team. Do not die. Talon's squad gathered at the entrance stood at the front. Behind him were 6 warriors and 2 hunters, stood at the back. No one looked at her. No one spoke to her. Gave his orders. We move in formation, in front, on the sides. We find a defensive position and hold it until the trial ends. He paused and looked back at. The human stays behind us. If she falls behind, we do not wait. If she dies, we do not mourn. She is not one of us. The other cadets nodded, said nothing. The doors opened and the squad entered It was dark inside, very dark. The trees were tall and thick. Strange sounds came from every direction. The air was wet and heavy. Talon's squad moved quickly, too quickly for her. Legs were shorter than theirs. Her body was smaller. Within minutes, she fell behind. Within an hour, she could not see them anymore. She was alone. Stopped walking, she stood very still and listened. The forest was full of sounds, insects, water, wind, and something else, something mechanical, something hunting. She dropped to her knees and pressed her hand against the ground. She could feel small vibrations. Something was moving toward her, something big. Did not run. She found a large tree and pressed her back against it. She pulled out her combat knife. It was not a fancy weapon, just simple steel, but it was sharp, very sharp. She waited. The sounds grew closer, heavy footsteps, metal grinding against metal. Red lights appeared in the darkness, 2 of them like eyes. The Predator drone stepped into view. It was 7 feet tall. Its body was black metal. Its arms ended in long, curved claws. Its head turned slowly, scanning the area. Did not breathe. She did not move. She became part of the tree, part of the shadow, part of the darkness. The drone walked past her. Its sensors did not detect her. It moved toward the sound of distant gunfire. Talon's squad was fighting something. Waited until the drone was 10 feet away. Then she moved. She did not run. She flowed like water, like smoke. Her feet made no sound on the ground. Her body made no shadow in the darkness. She was behind the drone in 2 seconds. The drone started to turn. Its sensors had detected something, but it was too late. Jumped not high, just enough. Her knife found the gap between the drone's neck plates. She twisted the blade. Something inside sparked and cracked. The drone's red eyes went dark. Its body fell forward and crashed into the ground. 4 seconds, that was all it took. pulled out her knife and cleaned it on her sleeve. She looked down at the dead machine. It was supposed to be dangerous. It was supposed to be deadly, but it was just metal and wire. It could not think. It could not adapt. It could not fear. Could do all of those things. She moved deeper into the forest. More drones were out there. She could hear them. She could feel them. And now she was hunting them. The second drone died faster than the first. 3 seconds. A strike to the sensor unit. A twist. Done. The third drone tried to fight back. Its claw slashed at her face. She moved 3 inches to the left. The claw passed through empty air. Her knife found its power core. 2 seconds. By midnight had killed 7 drones. By morning the number was 11. She moved through like a ghost. The drones could not see her. They could not hear her. They could not catch her. She was everywhere and nowhere. She was death itself, walking silently through the trees. When the sun rose over the simulation, found Talon's squad at their defensive position. They looked tired and wounded. 2 had deep cuts on their arms. 1 was limping. They had fought hard through the night. Saw approaching. His yellow eyes went wide. "You," he said, "you are alive." Nodded, "Yes." "How? We left you behind. The drones should have killed you in minutes." Reached into her pocket and pulled out a handful of small metal pieces. Sensor chips. She had taken one from each drone she killed. She dropped them on the ground at its feet. 11, she said simply. The other cadets stared at the chips. Then they stared at. She was not wounded. She was not tired. She was not even breathing hard. "Impossible," one of them said. "No one can kill 11 drones alone." Looked at him. Her eyes were calm and cold. "I did not kill them," she said. "I hunted them. There is a difference." She walked past the squad and sat down against a tree. She closed her eyes and began to rest. The trial was not over yet. There were still hours left, and she had a feeling that more challenges were coming. Watched her for a long time. He had trained thousands of cadets. He had seen the best warriors in the galaxy. But he had never seen anything like this small human girl who killed machines in the dark without making a sound. For the first time in 40 years, felt something cold in his chest. He did not know what it was. He had forgotten the feeling long ago. It was fear. And it was just beginning. The final hours of the trial came with a surprise. Talon's squad was not alone in the. Other squads were hunting too, and some of them had made a dangerous plan. Fang Company was the strongest squad in the academy. Their leader was unnamed. He was bigger than meaner too. He wanted to win the trial by destroying his competition. So he made a deal with another squad called Iron Claw. Together, they had 26 cadets, all of them warriors, all of them killers. Talon's squad had 8. Was resting against a tree when she heard the sounds. Many footsteps, too many. She opened her eyes and stood up slowly. "We have company," she said. Turned and looked into the forest. Shadows moved between the trees. Red eyes glowed in the darkness. But these were not drones. These were cadets. Stepped into the clearing. He was 9 feet tall with scars all over his face. Behind him came his army. All of them carrying weapons. All of them smiling. Said, his voice was like thunder. "You look tired. Maybe you should give up now. Save yourself the pain." Stepped forward. His hands became fists. "We do not surrender. Talon's squad fights to the end." Laughed. "Then you die today. 26 against 8. Even you cannot survive those numbers." The enemy cadets spread out in a circle around Talon's squad. There was no escape, no way out. This was the end. Watched quietly from the back. She counted the enemies. She studied their positions. She looked at the trees above them. She looked at the lights that hung from wires near the ceiling of the simulation room. An idea formed in her mind. A dangerous idea. A beautiful idea. She moved slowly toward the edge of the clearing. No one noticed her. She was small and quiet and unimportant. Just a weak human girl, not worth watching. That was their mistake. reached the base of a tall tree. She looked up. The lighting wires ran through the branches above. They connected to a control box on the trunk. One cut in the right place would kill the lights in this entire section of the darkness, her greatest weapon. Raised his hand. "Attack!" he roared. The enemy cadets charged, and they met them head-on. Metal clashed against metal, bodies slammed together. The hunters moved fast, striking and retreating, but there were too many enemies, far too many. Climbed the tree. Her hands found holds in the bark. Her feet moved silently, 10 feet up, 20 feet, 30 feet. She reached the control box and pulled out her knife. She cut the wire. The lights died, all of them at once. They became completely black, darker than night, darker than space. No one could see anything. Except humans had something special. They called it night vision. It was not perfect like some species, but it was enough. After a few seconds, eyes adjusted. She could see shapes in the darkness, shadows moving, bodies standing still. She dropped from the tree, no sound. She landed softly on the forest floor. The chaos had begun. Cadets were shouting. Weapons were firing at nothing. Allies were hitting allies. No one knew where the enemy was. No one knew where their friends were, but knew exactly where everyone was. She moved through the darkness like a snake through water. Her first target was a hunter standing alone near a tree. He was turning in circles, trying to see something, anything. Came from behind, her arm wrapped around his neck. She squeezed. 3 seconds. His body went limp, unconscious, not dead. The trial did not allow killing other cadets. She dropped him and moved to the next target. A warrior was swinging his weapon wildly in the dark, dangerous but blind, waited for his swing to pass. Then she struck the back of his knee. He fell forward. She hit the nerve point on his neck. He collapsed. 7 seconds. She kept moving, target after target, body after body. She was everywhere and nowhere, a ghost in the darkness, a whisper of death. The enemy cadets started to panic. They could hear their friends falling. They could hear soft footsteps that vanished when they tried to follow. They could feel something hunting them, something they could not see, something they could not fight. Some of them tried to run. They did not get far. When the lights finally came back on, the battle was over. 19 enemy cadets lay on the ground, all of them unconscious, all of them defeated, not by Talon's squad, by one person. Stood in the middle of the fallen bodies. Her breathing was calm, her clothes were clean, her face showed nothing. Was still standing. He had hidden behind his soldiers. Now he stared at the human girl with wide, terrified eyes. "What are you?" he whispered. Looked at him. "I am human," she said simply. She walked toward him. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, backed away. The most powerful cadet in the academy was retreating from a small human girl. 7 seconds each, said quietly. That is how long it took. I was being careful. I did not want to hurt anyone permanently. She stopped walking. Her eyes met his. Next time, I will not be careful. Ran, he actually ran. The great warrior of Fang Company fled into the forest like a scared animal. Limped toward, he had wounds on his arms and chest, but he was alive. They all were because of her. Human, he said, his voice was different now. Not angry, not disgusted, something else. How did you do that? Looked at the fallen cadets around her. On Earth, she said, we learned to hunt in the dark. We learned to move without sound. We learned to strike when our prey could not see us coming. She paused. Your species conquered your worlds through strength. Mine survived through something else. What? Asked. Smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just proven what she was. Patience, she said, and very good night vision. She walked past him and disappeared into the forest. The trial was almost over, and everything had changed. News traveled fast on station. By the time the sun set on the simulation dome, every cadet in the academy knew what had happened in the the human girl, the one who killed 11 drones alone, the one who defeated 19 warriors in total darkness, the one who made run away like a frightened child. Her name was on everyone's lips, Park the human. In the dining hall that evening, cadets from every squad came to look at her. They expected to see a monster, a giant creature with sharp teeth and deadly claws. Instead, they found a small woman sitting alone at a corner table. She was eating rice from a simple bowl. She did not look up. She did not speak to anyone. Some cadets whispered to each other, "That is her, she is so small. How is that possible? There must be some mistake." But there was no mistake. The cameras in the had recorded everything. The footage was already spreading through the station. Cadets watched it on their personal screens. They watched move through the darkness like smoke. They watched her take down enemy after enemy without making a single sound. They watched her stand in the middle of fallen bodies with calm, empty eyes. It was terrifying. An old walked into the dining hall. He was 312 years old. His scales had faded from bright blue to pale gray. His eyes were cloudy with age, but his mind was sharp, very sharp. He had trained warriors for longer than most species had existed. He had seen the rise and fall of empires. He had watched civilizations burn and rebuild. And he had never seen anything like the footage from the walked slowly through the hall. The cadets moved aside for him. Everyone respected the old instructor. He had taught their parents, their grandparents. He was a living legend. He stopped at the table. She looked up from her rice. Her face showed no surprise, no emotion at all. "May I sit?" asked. Nodded yes. The old lowered himself onto the seat across from her. His joints made cracking sounds. Age was catching up with him, but his voice was still strong. "I have watched your performance in the trial," he said. "Many times. I have slowed down the footage. I have studied every movement you made." Continued eating. "And what did you see?" Leaned forward. "I saw something I have not seen in 200 years. A true predator, not a warrior who fights, not a soldier who battles, a predator who hunts." Put down her chopsticks. She looked at the old instructor with curious eyes. "The think strength makes a warrior," continued. "The think speed makes a warrior. The think intelligence makes a warrior. They are all partly right, but they are also all wrong." "What makes a true warrior?" asked. "Patience," said. "The ability to wait, to watch, to choose the perfect moment, and then to strike without hesitation." He smiled, showing worn teeth. "You have this gift. I saw it in the darkness. Your enemies never knew you were there. They died before they could react." The dining hall had gone quiet. Everyone was listening. Stood up slowly. He turned to face the room. His old voice carried to every corner. "In ancient tradition," he announced, "a warrior earns a true name through their first great deed. Today, this human performed a deed that will be remembered for generations. She moved through darkness like death itself. She struck without sound. She left no trace except fallen enemies." He turned back to, "In my language, we have a word for this. In your human tongue, it means death whisper. Your enemies never heard you coming. They only heard the whisper of death as they fell." He bowed to her, a deep formal bow, the kind of bow a teacher gives to a master, the kind of bow that meant profound respect. "I name you Death Whisper," said. "May your enemies never hear your approach. May they only know fear in their final moments." The hall was completely silent. Every eye was on. She stood up slowly. She bowed back to the old instructor, not as deep, but respectful. "Thank you," she said quietly. Then she sat back down and returned to her rice. The cadets did not know how to react. They had just witnessed something historic. A human had received a warrior name from the most respected instructor in the academy. A human had been acknowledged as a true predator. That night found on the observation deck. She was standing at the window looking out at the stars. Her face was reflected in the glass, calm, thoughtful, alone. Death Whisper said, approaching her. That is a powerful name. Did not turn around. It is just a name. No, said, it is more than that. Names have power. They shape how others see you, how you see yourself. He paused. Everyone in this station will remember that name for the rest of their lives. Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. On Earth, we have an old saying, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. She finally turned to face him. I have been quiet my whole life. I have listened. I have watched. I have learned. Learned what? That strength alone is not enough. Speed alone is not enough. Intelligence alone is not enough. Her eyes met his. You need patience. You need to wait for the right moment. You need to understand your enemy better than they understand themselves. Nodded slowly. I thought you were weak when I first saw you. I thought you would die in the first trial. I know, said. I was wrong. The words came hard for him, did not admit mistakes easily. You are not weak. You are something else entirely, something I do not fully understand. Smiled. It was a small, sad smile. On Earth, we were never the strongest animals. We were never the fastest. We could not survive extreme heat or cold. We did not have natural weapons like claws or fangs. She paused. But we survived. We conquered our entire planet. Do you know how? Shook his head. We hunted the stronger animals to extinction, said. Not by fighting them directly, by following them. Day after day, night after night, we never stopped. We never rested. We chased them until they collapsed from exhaustion. And then we killed them. She turned back to the window. That is what humans are, Commander. We are not warriors, we are hunters. We do not fight, we pursue, we persist, we never give up. She looked at her reflection in the glass. And now the galaxy is going to learn what that means. Stood beside her in silence. Outside the window, a billion stars burned in the darkness. Somewhere out there, enemies were waiting. Enemies who had never heard of Earth. Enemies who did not know what humans could do. But they would learn soon. Death Whisper was just getting started. 6 months passed like water through fingers, rose through the academy rankings like a rocket through clouds. She won every combat trial. She passed every test. She broke records that had stood for centuries. But it was not her victories that made her famous. It was how she won. Other cadets fought with power. They charged into battle with weapons blazing. They shouted war cries and clashed with their enemies in loud, violent explosions of force. Did none of these things. She moved in silence. She struck from shadows. She appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Her enemies never saw her coming. They only knew she had been there when they woke up on the ground, defeated and confused. The instructors used footage of her movements in their classes. Watch her feet, they would say. Watch how she shifts her weight. Watch how she breathes. This is perfection. The cadets learned to fear her name. When they heard they would face Death Whisper in a training exercise, some of them asked to be removed from the match. They would rather take a failing grade than face her in the dark. The leader of Fang Company never recovered from his shame. He left the academy 2 months after the incident. Some said he went home to his planet. Others said he became a cargo hauler on a distant station. No one knew for sure. No one cared. Talon's squad changed too. No longer treated as an outsider. He treated her as an equal, more than equal. He asked for her advice before missions. He listened when she spoke. The other followed his example. You are strange, a name told her one day. Small and soft and breakable, but also deadly. I do not understand how both things can be true. Smiled. On Earth, the most dangerous animals are often the smallest. There is a frog so tiny it fits in your palm. Its skin carries enough poison to kill 10. Laughed. Then I will never touch a human frog. Good choice, said. On the day of graduation, the entire academy gathered in the Great Hall. Thousands of cadets stood in perfect rows. Thousands more watched through screens across the station. This was the most important day of their lives, the day they became real soldiers. The Galactic Alliance was at war. Everyone knew this. An enemy called the Hollow Empire had been attacking border worlds for years. They were ruthless and powerful. Their soldiers felt no fear. Their ships showed no mercy. The Alliance needed every warrior it could find. Stood at the front of her class. She had earned the highest combat scores in the Academy's history, not just for humans, for any species, ever. The commandant of the Academy, an ancient general named, called her name first. Cadet Park, Death Whisper, stepped forward. Walked to the stage. Her footsteps made no sound on the metal floor. Old habits never died. General looked down at her. His eyes were serious but kind. You came to this academy as an experiment, he said. A political gesture. Many expected you to fail. Many wanted you to fail. He paused. Instead, you have shown us something we never expected to see. You have shown us what humans truly are. He handed her a small medal, the symbol of a graduate warrior. You are assigned to the Galactic Alliance's First Strike Division. You will serve on the front lines against the Hollow Empire. He lowered his voice so only she could hear. They have never encountered a human before. They do not know what is coming. Took the medal, I understand, sir. Do you? Asked. The Hollow Empire has destroyed entire fleets. They have conquered 100 worlds. They fear nothing. Looked at him with calm, steady eyes. Then they will learn to fear something new. After the ceremony, found her near the transport dock. His own ship was waiting. He had been assigned to a different division. They might never see each other again. Human, he said. It was almost a term of affection now. This is where we part. Nodded, it seemed so. Was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke words he had never said to anyone. I have fought many enemies in my life. I have faced assassins and strategists and monsters from dead worlds. I have never feared any of them. He paused. But I feared you, in that forest, in the dark. I felt real fear for the first time in decades. I know, said. That is what makes you dangerous, continued. Not your speed, not your skill, your ability to make others fear, to make them doubt, to make them hesitate. He placed his massive hand on her shoulder, gently, almost tenderly. Use that fear, death whisper. Make them tremble before they even see you. Make them surrender before you strike. Reached up and touched his hand. Thank you, Commander, for everything. Thank me by winning this war, said, and come back alive. He turned and walked to his ship. He did not look back, did not say goodbye. They said until next battle. Watched him go. Then she picked up her bag and walked to her own transport ship. A young cadet was standing near the boarding ramp. He looked nervous. His forearms were crossed tightly over his chest. Excuse me, he said. Are you Death Whisper? Stopped, yes. I have heard stories about humans, the cadet said. Is it true what they say? That you are the galaxy's most patient predators? That you never stop hunting once you start? That you ended your own planet's greatest beasts by following them until they died of exhaustion? Thought about the question. She thought about Earth, about the endless hunts across the African plains, about the mammoths and the saber-toothed cats and all the other mighty creatures that had fallen before her ancestors. Not because humans were stronger, not because humans were faster, because humans never stopped. Yes, she said, that is true. The cadet swallowed hard. The Hollow Empire has never faced anything like you before. No, agreed, they have not. She walked up the ramp and into the ship. The doors closed behind her. Through the window she could see station growing smaller as the transport pulled away. The academy, her home for the past year, the place where she had proven what she was. But that was over now. A new chapter was beginning. Somewhere across the galaxy, the Hollow Empire waited. They had conquered worlds. They had destroyed armies. They believed they were invincible. They had never met a human. Sat back in her seat and closed her eyes. She thought about her family back on Earth, her mother and father in their small village. They were probably planting rice right now, living their quiet, simple lives, not knowing that their daughter was about to become something legendary. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Stars stretched into lines of light. The universe blurred and shifted. When the ship emerged on the other side, opened her eyes. Through the window, she could see a massive battle fleet. Alliance warships gathered for the coming war. Hundreds of vessels carrying thousands of warriors. And one small human woman who would teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Death Whisper had arrived. The hunt was about to begin.